Hello and welcome to Study IQ. In the previous lecture, we were discussing about unemployment in India. We have seen what is unemployment, we have seen full employment, we have seen underemployment, we have also seen what is unemployment. We have also seen the types of unemployment wherein which we discussed about frictional unemployment, structural unemployment, cyclical unemployment, seasonal and disguised unemployment. We have also discussed about the measurement of employment and unemployment in India. We have also discussed an important concept, that is the occupational structure in India. We have compared the GDP growth rate and also the contribution to the growth in employment by different sectors of the Indian economy. We have also seen jobless growth and we have seen what are the causes of jobless growth in Indian context. And now in this lecture, we will continue with the discussion on unemployment. Let us start with the differences between the organized and unorganized sector in the Indian economy. Organized and unorganized sector. Organized sector is also known as formal sector of the economy. Unorganized sector is also called the informal sector of the economy. Formal and informal sector. We call a sector as formal if the sector meets the following criteria. The first criteria is that there should be 10 or more hired workers. 10 or more hired workers. The second criteria is that electricity should be an input. Electricity should be an input in that organization. The third criteria is the quality of employment should be better. For example, better wages, better working conditions, job security, social security benefits, etc. So if any of this criteria is met, we call it as an organized sector. Unorganized sector on the other hand does not have any of these, and examples of unorganized sector are almost the entire agriculture in India comes in the unorganized sector. Small scale industries, self-employed, etc. are considered to be in the unorganized sector of Indian economy. According to the NSSO survey, only 14 to 15% of the Indian workforce works under the organized sector. Only 14 to 15%. But on the other hand, around 85 to 86% of the Indian workforce comes under the unorganized sector or the informal sector of Indian economy. This is the data given by the NSSO, National Sample Survey Office. As we discussed in the criteria for considering as a formal sector, we said that if 10 or more workers are hired, it is considered to be a formal sector. But there is an exception to it, that is the construction workers. So construction workers, there can be 10 or more construction workers in one organization, but they are not considered as formal sector employees, or they does not come under the category of formal sector because the quality and nature of the work is very poor. So to study this problem, a committee was appointed, and that committee was headed by Professor Arjun Sengupta. Professor Arjun Sengupta. So this committee was constituted for analyzing the problems in the construction workers and also in categorizing whether they come under the formal or informal sector of the economy. So remember the name of the committee, Professor Arjun Sengupta Committee. We discussed about organized and unorganized sector. So with that exception of the construction workers, the informal sector of the economy got a new definition. So informal sector of the Indian economy has a new definition, and that is workers in the unorganized sector workers plus those who are employed in formal sector, but nature of work is unorganized. Or informal. Nature of work informal. So we can say that the informal sector comprises of those who work in the unorganized sector as well as those who work in the organized sector, but the nature of their work is informal or unorganized. So that is the informal sector of the economy. According to the National Sample Survey Office, NSSO, during the financial year 2004-05, the percentage of the workforce in unorganized sector was around 91%. In the year 2009-10, The NSSO came up with the new data, and the data said that around 92% of the Indian population works with the unorganized sector. So 91 and 92%, and it is quite a very big percentage. And here we will see that in 2009-10 the percentage has increased from 91 to 92. So an increase in the percentage of people working in the unorganized sector refers to informalization of an economy. Informalization of an economy. So informalization of an economy refers to a situation where the percentage of people working in the unorganized sector increases or the informal sector increases. This is known as informalization of an economy. Another notable fact here is that more the informalization in an economy, more will be the poverty in an economy. So if an economy has more informalization or more informal work, the economy will have more rates of poverty also. So informalization and poverty are directly connected or linked. You must remember this point also. If you have seen the economic survey of this year, economic survey, in the volume 1, there were 10 interesting facts about the Indian economy. 10 facts about the Indian economy. In that 10 facts, the second fact was related to the unemployment or related to the formal and informal sector of the Indian economy. The fact said that the formal non-agricultural payroll is much more than expected. Payroll is greater than expected. Greater than expected. The second fact says that the formal non-agricultural payroll is much more than the expected or believed. What does this mean? It means that the economic survey is coming out with a new fact that it says that we believe that the informal sector of the Indian economy is around 91 or 92% according to the NSSO. But the new economic survey has come out with different facts. Let us analyze what are the facts given by the economic survey this year. According to the economic survey, there are two criteria to be considered as a formal sector of the economy. One criteria is that the organization should provide some social security benefits. Social security benefits. The second criteria is that the organization must be included in the tax net. Must be included in the tax net. So what does the social security mean? The employer or the organization must provide some social security benefits to its employees like insurance or health coverage or education. So social security benefits must be provided to the employees by the employer or by the organization. That is the social security benefits. And the second criteria, the organization or the employer must be included in the tax net of the country. It means that the employer or the organization must be paying the GST, goods and services tax. And you must remember that this new data released by the economic survey is based on the GST figures, and that is why it is important. So these are the two criteria given by the economic survey, and according to this criteria, the survey says that more than 30% of the Indian workforce gets some social security benefits. That is, more than 30% of the Indian workforce is benefiting from social security from their employers or from their organizations. And considering the second criteria, that is the tax net, the survey says that more than 50% of the employees or organization pays taxes or they are included in the tax net. So 30% or more employees are benefited out of social security benefits, and more than 50% are included in the tax net of the country. These data gives countering figures from that of the NSSO. Let us analyze these two conditions or these two criteria. So the GST data was actually re-examining the formality of Indian economy. So a re-examination of the formality of Indian economy. Formality here means whether it is formal or informal. Formality of economy. So with the GST data, the new economic survey has brought some new figures. Let us analyze them. As we said, the first criteria is whether some social security benefits are provided. Social security benefits. The first criteria is that whether some social security benefits are provided. In India, government provides social security benefits for its employees. So for the government employees, the government provides social security benefits. And for the private employees, EPFO, that is the Employees Provident Fund Organization. The Employees Provident Fund Organization provides social security benefits for the private employees. And this is in the form of pensions and provident funds. Pensions and provident funds. So EPFO provides to its employees pensions and provident funds. Also for the private employees, Employees State Insurance Corporation, that is ESIC, Employees State Insurance Corporation. Employees State Insurance Corporation provides for medical insurance. Medical insurance. Try to remember these facts. The EPFO, that is the Employees Provident Fund Organization, the contribution of the EPFO is compulsory for industries employing more than 20 workers. That is, if an industry has more than 20 workers, EPFO is compulsory. And the second criteria is that the monthly wage or salary is less than 15,000. If the wages or salaries is less than 15,000 and if a industry employs more than 20 members, Employees Provident Fund is compulsory. And above this level, it is voluntary. So above this level, it is voluntary. Taking into these factors into consideration, social security benefits is one criteria to analyze whether a sector of an economy is in the formal or in the informal category. So social security benefits is one criteria according to the economic survey. So the second criteria is whether belonging to the tax net, included in the tax net or not. Being a part of the tax net means that the firms or the industries, the firms are registered under the GST. So the second criteria is that whether the firms are registered under the GST or not. This is the second criteria according to the economic survey. Let us see what are the key findings of the economic survey with regard to these two criteria of concluding whether a particular sector belongs to informal or formal sector. The first finding is that around 0.6% of the total employees or the total workforce belongs to the hardcore. The first key finding is that around 0.6% of the total firms belongs to the hardcore industries or hardcore firms. What does this hardcore mean? The hardcore means that these industries or these firms meet both the criteria, that is the GST criteria as well as the social security criteria. Both the criteria are met by these firms and these are termed as hardcore firms of the country. So it is around 0.6%. This is a very smaller number. So hardcore firms. The second finding is that around 87% of the total firms are considered to be purely informal. 87% purely informal. It means that purely informal firms are excluded from both the GST as well as from the social security benefits. So GST not applicable, social security benefits are also not applicable. That means around 87% of the total firms in our country are purely informal. They don't either come under the GST tax net or under the social security benefits criteria. The third finding is that around 12% of the total firms, come under the GST net but not under the social security benefits. So GST is applicable for them but not social security benefits. They don't provide social security benefits to its employees but they come under GST, that is they are registered under the GST. The next finding is that 0.1% of total firms provide some kind of social security benefits to its employees but they don't come under the GST tax net. So they provide social security benefits to its employees but GST is not applicable. They don't come under GST or they are not registered with the GST. Now let us analyze the figures. Coming to the social security benefits, it is estimated that around 7.5 crore people comes under the social security net. This equals to around 31% of total workforce excluding agriculture. So 31% of total workforce excluding agriculture. Agriculture is not included. You must remember that. Excluding agriculture. This is what we discussed, 31%. This was the figure we discussed when we started this discussion on economic survey's findings. We said that survey says that around 30% of the employees in the country are benefited of social security. So the survey says that 31% or 7.5 crore employees in the country are benefited with social security benefits, and this is excluding the agricultural workforce in the country. Even though agriculture is excluded, this includes government staff, includes government employees, which is around 1.5 crore of the workforce. That is, agriculture is excluded but government employees are included. That is 7.5 crore, in which 1.5 crore are government employees. Coming to the GST tax net, around 12.7 million comes under the GST tax net, which is around 53% of the total. So around 53%, 12.7 million. Here also agriculture is excluded. Agriculture excluded. Here you must notice two things. One thing is that these data is entirely based on the industries. Industry based data, not based on households, not household based. So the survey has taken the data based on industries, not on households. Second thing is agriculture is excluded. Agriculture is excluded. So you must understand that these data are arrived because agriculture is excluded. Also it is industry based data. That is why these are the figures. And when we consider these two things, around 31% of the workforce comes under the social security net and around 53% under the GST net. And the survey says that these two figures are more than what we have believed about the Indian economy or the formality of Indian economy. This is more than believed about the formality of the Indian economy. And this is the second unknown fact about India given by the economic survey. Survey has given 10 important facts about the Indian economy, and this is a second fact. Now let us analyze what are the reasons for a greater percentage of informality in the Indian economy. Reasons for informality in the Indian economy. The first reason for this large percentage of informality in the Indian economy is that our agricultural sector is informal, and a large number of people, more than 50% of the population is directly dependent on the agriculture. So they does not come under the formal sector because they don't either pay the GST or they don't provide any social security benefits. For that reason, agriculture is a informal sector and more than 50% of Indian population is directly dependent on agriculture. First reason is because our agriculture is in the informal sector. The second reason is the lack of industrial growth in India. Lack of industrial growth in India. The industrial growth rate in India is poor. Also, there is a mismatch between the skills required by the industry and also the skills which are imparted by the employees. Mismatch between skills required by the industry and the skills possessed by the employees. So this mismatch has also contributed to a large percentage of informality in the Indian economy. And for this reason, that is the lack of industrial growth in India, the government has come up with many initiatives and schemes. A very good example is Make in India program. Another reason would be rigid labor laws. If we take the example of the Industrial Disputes Act 1947, we will see that the first condition according to this act, the first clause in this act was that if there is a dispute between the employee and the employer and the employee must try to have mutual talks and solve the problem. If it does not get solved, it will go to labor tribunal. And again, if it's not solved, it will go to the judiciary. And most of the times, judiciary was favorable for the employees. Judiciary favored the workers. So this discouraged the employees. Another clause in this act was that if there are more than 100 workers in an organization, the employer should get the permission from the government in order to fire an employee. So all these clauses became rigid for the employer, and this discouraged the employer to create more employment in the organization. So in order to solve all these issues, we have the ease of doing business in India now. You must remember that the labor laws is a state subject. Labor laws is a state subject. The states can make legislations regarding this subject. So it will depend on state to state whether they perform well or not. We can see that in India itself there are industrially well performing states like Mumbai, Gujarat, etc., wherein which the state laws are favorable for the traders or for the industrialists. So we will see that you must remember that the labor law is a state subject. The state can make legislations regarding the labor law. In India, we will see that there are well-performing states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, etc. in industries. So, the states can make amendments or make legislations regarding the labor laws. Labor laws are applicable to the organized sector. Labor laws applicable to organized sector. So, when labor laws become rigid, what will the industrialists do? This industrialists will try to keep more employees in the informal sector. So, industrialists will try to keep more employees in the informal sector when the labor laws are more rigid. So, if government makes flexible labor laws, what will happen? It will be good for the employees so that they will keep more employees in the formal sector. If flexible labor laws are adopted, more employees can be in the formal sector of the economy.